Hi, I'm the Scrub and you're here for one reason. Okay, next is Ice. I suppose we'll have to do Shiva. I miss Yazael. Oh, Yazael? Well, she was so hell-bent on her success that she made herself a vessel for the primal Shiva. She was a formidable opponent. Reen, stop getting ideas. Do I have to call your father? I know he's not your real dad. Do you want me to call you Stoller instead? Oh, for heaven's sake. Thancred Urianger, I need your help here. We've got a teenager making bad decisions. Time to learn about Eden's verse Refulgence. Simplified. The arena doesn't have any walls, so try not to fall off. Absolute Zero is a room-wide AoE. The first redress is a staring contest indicated with a red eye over her head. Shiva will change her outfit from blue to white. You will look away from the woman changing her clothes, or else you'll be caught in 4K, stunned in place, and unable to avoid moving for the next mechanic. Shiva will then perform either Scythe Kick or Axe Kick. Scythe Kick is a donut AoE with the only safe zone being in the hitbox of Shiva, and Axe Kick is a large point-blank AoE around Shiva. This will be a Vuln stack if you get caught in either of these AoEs. Shiva will then cast another redress and change her outfit from white back to blue. You can look at this one, for some reason, and Shiva will turn the floor into ice. This will cause you to be unable to walk or run. Instead, your movement will cause you to slide a set distance in a straight line in the direction that you move. So make sure that you don't move the wrong way, or you could end up flinging yourself straight off the edge. You can still attack the boss as normal without moving, so if you're melee, get those true north stacks ready. Following this will be a cast of either Driving Frost or Biting Frost. Biting Frost is a 270-degree AoE in the direction she is facing. Driving Frost is a 90-degree AoE directly behind her. Getting hit by either of these mechanics will give you a Vuln stack, so make sure that you dodge out of these mechanics by sliding into a safe zone. Double Slap is an untelegraphed tank buster that hits both cheeks. Tanks remember to mitigate this as she does indeed slap. Diamond Frost will put flare markers and point-blank AoEs on all players. It will also place 4 circular chandelier AoEs around the arena that will only be indicated by their outline. You can still see them on the ground, so make sure that you avoid these AoEs too. The flare markers will need to spread out towards the outer edges of the platform as the point-blank AoEs spread out in the middle. After these go off, the first set of circular chandelier AoEs around the outside of the arena will go off, and a second set will be placed where the safe zones just were. As this happens, 4 players will get tracking AoEs with the yellow arrow behind them. These players will have 3 tracking AoE hits that will spawn at their feet, one at a time, every few seconds. So they will need to avoid these AoEs by moving away from them. There is an easy way to avoid running these through the middle of the arena and the rest of the party. Either everyone can group up and move around the center of the arena to avoid all of the AoEs as best they can, or players with the tracking AoE can move back and forth on the outside of the arena between 2 of the chandelier circles. There is plenty of time to move out of the AoE as it's placed down, and you can easily move back and forth and avoid all 3 hits. If you get hit by anything avoidable in this mechanic, you'll get a Vuln stack. Heavenly Strike is a knockback. Make sure that you position yourself to the open area of the arena or use knockback immunity or a well-timed gap closer to avoid the push. You can easily get pushed off the arena if you are standing on the wrong side. The cast of Mirror Mirror will put 2 green oblong mirrors at the northwest and northeast point of the arena. This is followed by the opposite of either driving or biting, whichever one didn't happen in the opening part of the fight. The mirrors will copy what Shiva does. So if Shiva performs biting, the mirrors will also do a 270-degree circular AoE attack, and if Shiva does driving, the mirrors will also do a conal AoE from their position. To dodge the attack from the mirrors, you just have to go all the way to the side of the arena that is already the safe zone. So if it's biting, you're already going to be towards the south. Just continue further south to get away from the mirrors to avoid the hit. And if it's driving, you're already going to be in front of Shiva. Just continue to get further towards the north end of the arena to avoid the large conal AoEs from the mirrors. It's important that tanks always face Shiva towards the north end of the arena so players will easily know which way the safe zone is. Another redress will happen, so make sure to look away, and this time it will perform the opposite of Scythe or Axe Kick, whichever one didn't happen in the opening part of the fight. So make sure that you pay attention to which kick she is going to do and dodge either in or out accordingly. Following this, Shiva will become untargetable and fly to the north end of the arena. She will cause everyone to be down for the count and the ad phase will begin. The party will be split with 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS taken to separate platforms. A bar labeled Flood of Light will appear. If this bar fills, Shiva will instantly enrage and wipe the group. You'll need to avoid the crystallized white areas of the arena as these will give you a bleeding debuff if you stand in them. There will be room-wide AoEs called Heart Asunder that will periodically fire that will hit the party for 25% of their maximum health. There will also be sprites that will spawn into the arena and slowly start making their way towards the middle crystal. The Earthen Sprite will cast Stone Skin, which will give it a small shield. However, this cast is interruptible. The Lightning Sprite will get Shock Spikes. This will ricochet a small amount of damage back to you if you damage it. There are also Light Sprites that are untargetable and tethered tether to the middle crystal. Players will need to intercept this tether so that the sprite hits them and not the crystal. You do this by standing in the way of the tether. When the sprite hits them, it will create a small AoE around this player, so everyone else needs to stand away from whoever is taking the tether. Every sprite that gets missed and ends up hitting the crystal will increase the bar by 20. As long as all of the sprites are defeated and the bar hasn't filled, everyone will be hit with down for the count and taken back to the main arena. If the party completes the ad phase without any of the sprites touching the crystal and the bar still at 0, you will get a buff called Grace of Light, which will give you a damage increase for a minute. However, if the bar has increased by any amount due to a sprite touching the crystal, players will not get the damage up buff. The cast of Holy will create a proximity marker in the middle of the arena. You will have to look above Shiva's head for how many orbs are orbiting her halo. If there is a single orb, this means that the proximity marker is real and you'll need to get away from the middle of the arena to reduce the damage to you. If there are 4 orbs, this means that the proximity marker is false. The proximity marker will be split into smaller proximity markers and spread to the outside of the arena, so everyone will need to get into the middle of the arena to reduce the overall damage as best they can. Shiva will teleport to the middle of the arena and cast Light Rampant. If you did the Savage version of this on content, I'm sorry for the flashbacks. This will be a room-wide AoE, which is then followed by a few mechanics in a row. There will be 4 meteor towers with 1 sphere orbiting them. This indicates that there needs to be 1 person in each meteor tower to soak the damage. When you stand in a tower, it will light up slightly to indicate that you're standing in it. At the same time that this is going on, 2 players will get a red marker over their head as Shiva casts the Path of Light. There will be a conal AoE through where this player is standing when the cast ends. These marked players will need to stand in between the meteors so their conal AoEs are spread out and avoiding other players. There will then be 2 meteor towers with 2 spheres orbiting it. This means that there needs to be 2 people in each tower. Again, when you stand in the tower, a portion of it will light up. When it's fully lit up, the required number of people are in the tower. This is also accompanied by 2 players with red markers who will need to point the conal AoEs away from other players. And finally, there will be 1 meteor tower with 4 spheres orbiting it, which means that there needs to be 4 people in this tower. Again, a portion of the tower will be lit up if you stand in it, and this will be completely lit up when the required number of people are in the tower. This is again accompanied by 2 people that will get a red marker over their heads, so they need to bait the conal AoEs away from the party. When these go off, the mechanic is finished. For every tower that is missed, it will explode in a room-wide AoE and give everyone a Vuln stack. Following this will be another cast of Mirror Mirror, which will put 4 mirrors on the cardinal points of the arena. Shiva will then cast either Scythe Kick or Axe Kick. This will be whichever one she first cast at the beginning of the fight. Remember that the mirrors are going to copy what Shiva does. If it's Scythe Kick, you'll need to first get inside her hitbox, then get right on the outside towards one of the mirrors, as each mirror will perform a donut AoE. And if it's Axe Kick, you'll need to get away from Shiva, then get away from every mirror. The only safe spot for this mechanic after you get away from Shiva is to get right back in the middle of the arena to dodge the point blank AoEs from all of the mirrors. Again, any AoE that you get hit by from these mechanics will give you a Vuln stack. Following this is where most people probably won't have seen, as Shiva dies around this point. But if you get a group with low DPS, you will see the following mechanics. The next redress will coat the arena in ice again, and this will be followed by either the cast of Twin Silence or Twin Stillness. Both of these moves will be double hits back to back of either Biting Frost or Driving Frost. Twin Silence will be Driving Frost, then Biting Frost, so she will hit behind her followed by in front of her. And Twin Stillness will be Biting Frost followed by Driving Frost, so she will hit in front of her followed by behind her. You'll need to position yourself by sliding across the ice to one safe zone, then quickly turning to slide to the next safe zone as the first hit goes off. When both hits go off, the arena will return to normal. The redress after that will be another staring contest and will be followed by either Spiteful Dance or Embittered Dance. Spiteful Dance will be Axe Kick followed by Scythe Kick. This means that you'll need to get away from Shiva, then get inside her hitbox. Embittered Dance will be Scythe Kick followed by Axe Kick. This means that you'll need to get inside Shiva's hitbox, then get away from her as fast as possible. You'll need to move quickly as there isn't a lot of time between each AoE. Mirror Mirror with Biting Frost or Driving Frost will happen with alternating casts. Those mechanics will repeat until you get Shiva down below 10% health. At this point, she will begin to spam Absolute Zero until you defeat her or she defeats you. You can also use the limit break here if you want. When you get her down to 0.1% health, she will become untargetable and cause everyone to be down for the count while a short cutscene plays. When you get out of the cutscene, there will be a bar labeled Flood of Light, which will start filling up quickly. Gaia will slow down the time of the bar filling up as the Ice Veil begins to cast Endless Ice Age. If this cast finishes and the bar fills up, Shiva will wipe the group. As everyone is released from down for the count, an instant LB3 will be created for you to use again. Burn down the Ice Veil to release Reen and finish the fight. Congratulations, you have completed the raid series of Eden's Verse. My name is The Scrub. Thank you for watching.